Good evening, Elon. You're listening to ELN Radio on WSOE 89.3, Elon, Burlington. I'm Connor Dwyer.
And I'm Selina Guevara. Welcome back from fall break, Elon. Here are some stories making headlines tonight.
We begin tonight with Malaysia Airlines. Friends and families of the passengers of Malaysian Flight 17 are finally getting answers about what caused the plane to crash last year. The flight took off from Amsterdam but was shot down over Ukrainian territory on its way to Malaysia last July. The Dutch Safety Board took over the investigation of the crash and found that the missile warhead exploded outside of the cockpit. There were no survivors. Ukrainian President Petro Poroshenko is now calling for those responsible to be held accountable. This isn't the first issue with Malaysian Airlines. Malaysian Flight 370 disappeared without a trace in March 2014. Recently, plane wreckage found in the Philippines is believed to be parts of MH370. The findings have not yet been confirmed.
A new report by the National Interagency Fire Center says 2015 has been the most devastating year for wildfires. More than 11 million acres have been burned so far this year. The NIFC has been tracking wildfires since 1960. Just this week, about 250 acres have been scorched by fires. Though the number of wildfires has decreased, the amount of acres impacted has increased. Firefighters from Australia and New Zealand are traveling to California to help fight the worst of the flames.
And two stories of survival this weekend. An Indonesian man was flying in a helicopter with 4 other people when the copter crashed in a lake. The man held on to floating plants for 2 days before search teams were able to rescue him. The other 4 passengers have yet to be found. Also, an Australian man survived in the outback for 6 days without water by eating ants. The man survived 99-degree heat wearing only a cap, t-shirt, shorts, and flip-flops. Both men are expected to make a full recovery.
The first Democratic debate was held last night in Las Vegas, and if you missed the events last night, here's a quick recap of each candidate's performance. Anderson Cooper moderated the debate and stood tough against candidates who attempted to go over their allotted response time of 1 minute. Frontrunner Hillary Clinton, when asked about her history of changing positions on issues, said that as she learns more information, her views may change, but they are centered around her core values. Clinton said, quote, "I am a progressive, but I'm a progressive who likes to get things done." Clinton was also ready to defend her decision on the Iraq War. She also got an unlikely supporter in her defense of her use of a private email server and the multiple investigations and conversations it has stirred. Fellow candidate Bernie Sanders. Sanders said Americans are, quote, "sick and tired of hearing about your damn emails." This led to a standing ovation from the audience and a handshake and thank you from the former Secretary of State.
Sanders had a mixed night. He had difficulties explaining his positions on foreign policy and gun control. Sanders brought up the need for people with mental crisis to have access to the health care that they need. Clinton agreed with this plan, but argued that Sanders is not strong enough on gun control regulations. Sanders was strongest talking about finance and climate change.
Martin O'Malley took his limited time to defend his crime record as mayor of Baltimore and said he wants to bring back Glass-Steagall Act, legislation that was originally passed in the early 1930s that was repealed in 1999.
Lincoln Chafee was questioned by Cooper for constantly changing his opinions and his frequent change in party affiliations. Chafee was a Republican for 8 years before declaring himself an independent. He remained with that party affiliation for 6 years until he again changed his affiliation again to Democrat in 2013. Chafee says his number one priority, if elected, is ending the war in the Middle East.
Jim Webb had a limited time but did not seem to use it well, often using his time to point out that he wasn't given a chance to speak. The Vietnam veteran believes his background will make him an effective commander-in-chief of military. Webb said he considers cyber warfare a worthy issue to address.
One person who was not mentioned last night, current Vice President Joe Biden. CNN left an open podium for the potential presidential candidate, but analysts say that based on Clinton's performance, the window for Biden to enter the race is closing. Elon Student Government Association hosted a non-partisan nonpartisan watch party of the debate in McKinnon last night. Sophomore Lindsay DeLaury was there and says that the debate itself wasn't anything special.
It was definitely less entertaining than the Republican debate, but honestly, I didn't learn anything new about the candidates that I didn't already know.
Kay says her favorite moment of the night was when Bernie Sanders and Hillary Clinton actually agreed on something.
That was hilarious. I loved that he did that because it shows like he's a decent human being, and yes, she's his political rival, but he was honest and he's sick and tired of hearing about the emails.
SGA also hosted a viewing party for the Republican debate last month. The next Democratic debate is November 14th in Des Moines, Iowa.
While the Democratic presidential hopefuls took the stage to debate last night, the Republicans didn't stay out of the spotlight. GOP presidential hopeful Mike Huckabee live-tweeted the debate, offering criticism of the Democratic candidates' stances on different issues. On the topic of race, Huckabee tweeted that America has a, quote, sin problem, not a skin problem. Addressing Senator Bernie Sanders, he tweeted, quote, Bernie Sanders' socialist math is as solid and sound as El Chapo's prison security. On global warming, Huckabee attacked the candidates for addressing the issue, tweeting, quote, they believe climate change is a greater threat than Islamic extremism, that a sunburn is worse than a beheading. It's nonsense.
But Governor Huckabee wasn't the only Republican hopeful who live-tweeted the debate. GOP frontrunner Donald Trump added his opinion throughout the debate, attacking different Democratic candidates with tweets that read, quote, can anyone imagine Chafee as president? No way. Trump also went after Hillary Clinton's decision-making, tweeting, quote, the hardest thing Clinton has to do is defend her bad decision-making, including Iraq vote, email, etc., end quote. Trump ended his live tweeting commentary with one final blast to the Democrats, writing, quote, sorry, there is no star on the stage tonight, end quote. The next Republican primary debate is scheduled for October 28th on CNBC.
Today marked an important day in our area as Governor Pat McCrory visited the Burlington Depot to sign tax credit legislation. Our Connor Del Prey has the story.
Governor Pat McCrory signed into legislation the Historic Tax Credit Bill, which provides incentives to taxpayers that contribute to the preservation of historic buildings. McCrory signed the legislation today at the Burlington Depot and believes that this legislation represents a breakthrough in political cooperation.
This proves that North Carolina government can work if we hear from the people.
Properties in North Carolina are eligible for historic tax credits if they are listed in the National Register of Historic Places. One of these listed properties was the White Furniture Company, which received tax credits to help renovate the building. McCrory says that this incentive helped transform an area.
Who would have imagined in Mebane, North Carolina, brand new residential being built at the price point that they were asking for, and it's selling, and providing a whole new type of family living for people throughout North Carolina.
These renovations and improvements in historic buildings were a necessity on McCrory's list when his administration was crafting the legislation.
Their families want to see Main Street. And if Main Street's full of blighted buildings and decay, it's going to raise a red flag that the whole area is full of decay and blight and doesn't have a future. And that's unacceptable.
McCrory hopes that this legislation continues to repeat the success of previous historic tax credit programs. Since 1998, historic tax credit programs in North Carolina have generated over $1.6 billion of private investment in North Carolina community preservation. Connor Del Prey, Elon Local News.
McCrory and Susan Klutz, the Secretary of Cultural Resources, made 73 stops across North Carolina before this legislation passed to evaluate areas that could benefit from historic tax credits.
And now, here's what is happening in North Carolina. 2 men are injured after a Burlington shooting last night. Larry Smith of Snow Camp and Tavakis Cheek of Burlington were shot around 5:30 last night. Both are listed in stable condition. Investigators are still trying to determine a motive.
The search continues for the newest president of the University of the North Carolina system. Current President Tom Ross is leaving the job next year as members of the board want a change in leadership. The committee has quickened the pace to find the next president in the past month. The 11-member search committee have met 4 times in the last week and 9 times in the last month. The next full meeting of all 32 members of the Board of Governors is on October 30th. By the end of that day, Governor Pat McCrory will need to decide whether to accept or veto a law that requires the search committee to present 3 finalists instead of 1 top candidate.
McCrory also announced yesterday that Ashley Furniture, the country's largest furniture maker, plans to add over 450 jobs to Davie County over the next 5 years. Jobs will vary from warehouse workers to information technology professionals. The company will receive up to $5 million in tax breaks if all jobs are added. Ashley Furniture already employs 1,100 people in the facility. The company also plans to invest $8.7 million to its plant through 2019.
Even though this week is shorter than usual due to fall break, students, faculty, and alumni can attend many events across campus during homecoming weekend. Starting tomorrow at 11 a.m., you can join our Maker Hub and create something new at the Arts and Crafts Fair for tinkerers. This is an opportunity to try out Elon's 3D printer. Tomorrow night also marks the annual birthday party for West Residence Hall. Alumni and current students are invited to celebrate this tradition from 7 to 9 p.m. in West Residence Hall, where a birthday cake will be served to mark the occasion. Support Elon's dance choreography classes tomorrow and Thursday night by watching Choreography Salon. Admission is free, and all donations go to the BFA Dance Scholarship Fund. Although most sports are away this weekend, you don't want to miss this. On Friday, the men's and women's basketball team take on Late Night with the Phoenix. This is their first appearance of the season.
It's time once again for homecoming at Elon. As alums make their way back to campus, here are some of the events you can look forward to this weekend. Homecoming check-in at the Martin Alumni Center begins on Friday at 10 a.m. and goes until 6:30 p.m. There will also be campus bus tours for alums starting at 2 p.m. on Friday to see all of the new buildings at Elon. The tour begins at one of the newest additions, the Inman Admissions Welcome Center. If you're interested in communications and looking for a networking opportunity, make sure you come to the Elon 2.0 Success After Elon Wisdom Session. This is an opportunity to hear alums in the communications field talk about their jobs and how they succeeded after graduation. The event begins at 2 p.m. in Studio B in McEwen. Friday night continues with open houses and alumni receptions. You can find the full list on eNet. Saturday starts bright and early with Homecoming 5K Brick Run at 8:30 in the morning through the heart of Elon's campus. Leading up to the big game are alumni receptions with fraternities, sororities, and other organizations on campus. You can find the dates and times for these online. The tailgate for the homecoming game begins at noon, and kickoff against James Madison University is at 3. Voting for Homecoming King and Queen is also open. Head to elon.edu/elections to cast your vote. You have until 5 p.m. tomorrow to let your voice be heard. For a full list of activities, download the Elon Guides app and the Guide for Homecoming Weekend. The full schedule is also posted on eNet.
The Pendulum, Elon's student-run newspaper, turns 41 years old today. The first issue was released on this day back in 1974. Headlines included consumer advocate Ralph Nader visiting campus, the Eminence Jazz Band opening season, and the announcement of 10 new faculty members added. ELN wishes our fellow student media group a very happy birthday. According to Gun Violence Archive, the United States has had close to 50 school shootings in 2015 alone. Now, Elon is hosting a panel tonight called Violence Associated with Guns. The discussion will be held in upstairs Lakeside from 7 to 8:15 p.m. Assistant Director of Elon Poll, Dr. Jason Huser, and Interim Associate Provost for Inclusive Community, Brooke Barnett, are leading the discussion. On the panel tonight is Associate Professor of Communications, Dr. Anthony Hatcher, and Director of Campus Safety and Police, Dennis Franks, among others. The goal of the panel is to engage the Elon University campus community in a conversation about how to reduce gun-associated violence and discuss potential solutions. Our Ashley Boley will be live tweeting the event, so be sure to follow at Elon Local News on Twitter for updates throughout the night.
Researchers say that this drink will help diabetics manage their health, and it might surprise you. We've got the details in this week's Health Watch. Welcome back. You're listening to ELN Radio on WSOE 89.3 Elon, Burlington. A new study shows that drinking wine could help fight diabetes. Israeli researchers tracked 224 patients with type 2 diabetes over the course of 2 years. All patients did not drink alcohol before the experiment, and all followed a Mediterranean diet without calorie restrictions. The pool of participants were split up into 3 groups and either drank 5 ounces of red wine, white wine, or water with their dinner each night. The studies published by European Foundation for the Study of Diabetes found that those who drank red wine saw an increase in good cholesterol by 10% and experienced a significant decrease in bad cholesterol. Both white and red wine drinkers experienced benefits including a decrease in glucose levels and better sleep compared to those who drank water. But the lead author of the study says to still be cautious by considering drinking red wine in moderation and to follow up with a health practitioner. And a different study by the University of Alberta, Canada, finds that a glass of red wine could also be equivalent of an hour of exercise at the gym. Researchers say that wine raises the heart rate in the same way cardio exercises, as well as helps you maintain a healthy weight. So you really may be able to skip the gym for the bar.
Believe it or not, we are already halfway through the semester, and that means winter term is coming up. Many ELN students choose to study abroad in January, and Shanna Van Beek from the Global Education Center has some tips to remember when traveling the globe. First, be flexible and keep an open mind. Something unexpected will probably happen during your travels, so be prepared to change plans accordingly. Expecting the unexpected is both the challenge and the award of studying abroad. Next, take care of yourself. Stay healthy, hydrated, and aware of your personal needs. You are going to be in a new environment, and it can be exciting, but you cannot make the most of your trip if you are not healthy. Lastly, Van Beek says you should always have a scarf. Scarves keep you covered, warm, and are very versatile. You never know when one could come in handy on your trip. If you're staying at ELN this winter, but hope to study abroad in the near future, Fall and Summer 2016 applications open tomorrow. You can stop by the Global Education Center to explore your options. And if you need a pick-me-up as you get back to classes, stay tuned. This week's New Music Wednesday is next.
You're listening to ELN Radio on WSOE 89.3 Elon Burlington.
Getting back into the groove of things after break may be difficult, but our Paul LeBlanc has some new tunes that will help you get through the week in this week's New Music Wednesday.
It's been a busy week of new music. Here are 3 releases to listen to as you adjust back to classes after fall break. British alternative group The 1975 released their new single Love Me this week to the excitement of the band's fans who haven't heard any new music from the group since the release of their self-titled album in 2013. The quick drums and upbeat tempo of Love Me blend the group's signature alternative sound with a pop twist that is sure to get anyone dancing. But the 1975 aren't the only British recording artists releasing new music. Pop icon Sam Smith released Writings on the Wall, the new single that will serve as the official theme song for the upcoming James Bond movie Spectre, set to be released November 6th. Writings on the Wall's slow and harmonic style take advantage of Smith's vocal range to give the song the perfect Bond vibe. This release is Smith's first since his critically acclaimed debut album, In the Lonely Hour.
I never shoot to miss.
And bringing it back to America, country star and former American Idol winner Carrie Underwood released her single Smoke Break. The song has the classic country rhythm and quick acoustic guitar that will give old and new country fans a new tune to hum throughout the week. For New Music Wednesday, I'm Paul LeBlanc. Welcome back to Campus, Elon.
I think those songs will help me finish out this week strong. Now in entertainment news. Lamar Odom, former NBA star and ex-husband of Khloe Kardashian, was found unconscious in a Nevada brothel. The Lakers basketball star was found in Dennis Hoff's Love Ranch South, where staff members found Lamar passed out on Tuesday morning after alleged days of partying. He was immediately taken to a local hospital and later airlifted to a Las Vegas hospital to be treated. Traces of herbal Viagra was found in Odom's system, but no other substances have been detected. Odom has yet to regain consciousness, and doctors aren't sure if Odom will be able to recover.
The ladies of Hollywood are making headlines this week. Jennifer Lawrence published an essay on Lenny, Leah Durham's website, about the gender wage gap. The Sony email hack in November 2014 revealed that Lawrence was making millions of dollars less than her male counterparts for the film American Hustle. Lawrence says wanting to be liked led to her downfall during negotiations. Lawrence isn't alone. Actress Meryl Streep also spoke out about sexism in the film industry, saying even she received less pay than her male co-workers, even if she has been in the business longer. Lawrence ended her essay by pointing out that in Sony emails, Angelina Jolie was referred to as a spoiled brat, and that she wouldn't imagine a man receiving the same remark.
Emma Roberts is making her way back into the spotlight. The young actress is making a major comeback by starring in the new hit series Scream Queens, as well as appearing on the cover as the cover girl of November issue of Teen Vogue. In this issue, Roberts talks about what it is like to star in a television series with all-girl co-workers. Roberts says there isn't any drama and her co-workers have created an extremely friendly work environment. She tells Teen Vogue that none of the cast knows who the killer is in the horror series, and each actor is playing their character as if they are the killer.
Nashville star Hayden Panettiere is starting postpartum depression treatment. Panettiere gave birth to her first child, Kea, with partner Vladimir Klitschko in 2014. The actress recently made an appearance on Live with Kelly and Michael and spoke candidly about the reality of postpartum depression. Panettiere's character on the ABC series Nashville also lives with postpartum depression. Panettiere is hoping to raise awareness of the condition that affects about 10 to 15% of women, according to Postpartum Progress. Making waves in the tech world this week, Microsoft's first ever laptop, the Surface Book, became available for pre-orders on the Microsoft Store last week and is already out of stock. When attempting to order any of these 5 available options in the store, we'll let you leave an email for Microsoft notifying you when they are available. Although the actual number of computers Microsoft had stocked for pre-orders unknown, these sales seem to be higher than expected. The Surface Book ranges from $1,500 to $3,700, making it one of the priciest laptops on the market.
While those sales are soaring, some people would rather stay unplugged and disconnected. According to the United Nations Broadband Commission, 4.2 billion people, which is about 57% of the world, are offline on a regular basis. This could come as a surprise when we think about how many of us are glued to our cell phones, constantly checking social media and updating our online status. But around 70% of mobile and fixed subscriptions are concentrated in 2 regions, Asia Pacific and the Americas.
And earlier we mentioned Virginia Senator Jim Webb saying cybersecurity is this country's single largest national threat during the Democratic debate last night. America's top intelligence officials tested before Congress last month that these cyber attacks are growing more severe, saying the country doesn't have sufficient protections in place to prevent a serious cyber catastrophe. Congress and the president have been back and forth about passing legislation that would help combat some cyber threats. The Obama administration has admonished China for its cyber attacks, but it has stopped short of imposing sanctions.
When we come back, the road to the World Series is revving up, and Elon's soccer teams are cleaning up the CAA. We've got a recap of all things sports here on campus and across the nation next. Welcome back, Phoenix fans. You're listening to ELN Radio on WSOE 89.3 Elon, Burlington.
Give it up for the Phoenix. Elon had a couple of big wins recently. The women's soccer team captured its first win in the Colonial Athletic Association play thanks to a pair of late goals Sunday, leading to a 2-0 victory over the College of Charleston. Men's soccer also came out on top with 1-0 home win against Lipscomb University. According to the NCAA's most recent RPI rankings, the men's soccer team is 23rd in the nation. Tonight, they will travel to UNC Wilmington in hopes of keeping their high ranking intact. After the final round of competition yesterday at the Pinehurst Challenge, the women's golf team finished in third place. The Phoenix was led by senior Emily Brooks, who set a new 54-hole Division I program record.
And over fall break, some national sports history is being made. For the first time since 1908, the Chicago Cubs won a playoff series at home. It's been more than 100 years since the Cubs won a World Series. It was back in the early 1900s when the team won 2 consecutive World Series titles in 1907 and 1908. Their next game that could bring them closer to the elusive title is not until October 17th.
And that's all for this week's ELN Radio. Tune in next Wednesday for all the news you need to know.
In the meantime, keep up with us on social media at ELN Radio.
Until next week, I'm Connor Dwyer.
And I'm Selina Guevara. Have a great week, Elon.